The biggest problem where the Bears failed Justin Fields is the timing of when they drafted him. Okay? But even that is a hard argument to make because the people in charge of that time like Justin Fields, and they're trying to make the team better. It's just sort of a shitty situation for Justin because they drafted him into a situation where their literal plan, they actually thought they could compete with Andy Dalton, sit Justin, save their jobs under that scenario, and then throw Justin out there the following year like that was going to work. And obviously in hindsight, and not even hindsight, because I think we all would have said the same thing had we known in that moment that that was really the actual plan and not just something they were trying to, put out there, as a facade, was nuts. And it wasn't fair to Justin because they were doomed from the start that year. And really, this goes back to, so if you want to take it to the top, where I always love to go, they should have made the move to fire Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy a year earlier than they did because they created that situation where they were so desperate to draft Justin Fields, to give up future draft capital and bring him in a situation that he basically, his NFL career was never going to start until year 3 because there was no chance at success that year with Matt Nagy. And then Ryan Poles, and this is where I'm getting to, where I'm not blaming Ryan. I don't think Ryan Poles failed Justin Fields at all.
You're separating the two.
I am.
I'm not. But
fine. I think you have to if you're going to have a real conversation about this. Because this is eventually going to lead us into this RG3 conversation that's been going on this morning. Okay? Yes, the Bears failed Justin Fields. But in my opinion, this regime did not.
Right.
Because Ryan Poles had no other choice but to clean up Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy's mess in year 1 of the new regime. They had to do that. And so they had to make his offense that he was working with worse, which basically gave him no chance until year 3 to even have it begin. But this is where I still take exception. They gave him DJ Moore. They improved the roster. Cole Kmet was a badass this year, okay? And the reality was Justin didn't get better.
He got better.
No, he didn't. We have to stop saying that. The numbers don't show that. The tape doesn't show that. The league has told you they don't believe that. Okay. Stop living in conspiracy land, everyone.
The numbers do show that. He has gradually gotten better each year. You're talking about getting way better. He has gotten better. His sack numbers got better at the second half of the season. He played better the second half. Okay,
I apologize. You're right. He was the 3rd worst at taking sacks instead of dead last.
He got better. Okay. It wasn't enough.
Jesus,
you can't say
Carm.
well, not Jesus Carm. You can't tell me the guy didn't get better because he did. He didn't have a great situation.
He didn't, man. He was the same guy. He still didn't throw the ball on time. Okay. None of that. And it's hard for everyone to accept. I get it. And by the way, I hate the position this puts me in because I still don't think he's bad. I still think he's an NFL starter. But the problem is they did give him help this year, and he didn't run with it. Well, it didn't happen.
And then the worst part about it for him was when he had the 2 back-to-back games against Washington and Denver where he played outstanding, he followed that up with the Minnesota game. Yep. And when you talk about inconsistency, he starts the first play of the game.
I honestly think it was the biggest play of the season.
It was one of the biggest
for his evaluation.
It's a defining type moment of what his shortcoming is, and that is not to just get the ball out of your hands. He doesn't recognize the blitz. He doesn't identify to get it out quickly, or maybe he did and just didn't let it go.
He just didn't throw it. It was there. He just didn't throw it.
To top off, in the same game, he doesn't throw it and takes an unnecessary sack and he gets hurt, which puts him out for 35 days. And that, to me, was c'est la vie at any hopes for the chance for Justin Fields to have a career here in Chicago.
Look, I'm in.
So you don't think they gave him enough this year?
I'm in an awkward position right now because I'm not saying they made the wrong move, obviously. But the point, look, they started the year out 0-4. He improved the defense. They started winning games. He took less sacks. He looked more comfortable. I'm not telling you that he was some great quarterback. I am telling you, though, and you would agree with this, by the way, that there is I don't know what percent chance you want to give it, but it's not 1%, and I'm not saying it's 100 either, but there is a chance that if Justin put in the right system with talent around him, that he's going to be a successful quarterback. And the fact of the matter is, you started at the start. They couldn't have done more wrong. Either make him the 1 or make him the 3. One of the two. He should have either been the starter, and they should have built the offense around him immediately, or they should have said, "You're the third quarterback. We have 2 veterans. You ain't playing because you're not ready," which would have been the right choice to make.
Well, I'm not denying that the last regime
screwed
him.
Right. And then. Yes.
But Ryan Poles sticking with him because of mistakes made by a different regime would not be the right thing for this regime to do.
That's fine. Hoge, Ryan Pace also drafted Velus Jones. He also drafted Ryan Poles also drafted Velus Jones. He also drafted Tyler Scott. He hasn't been perfect. Yes, he gave him DJ, but that wasn't a great offensive line. Who was playing center? I don't even want to say their names.
I'm not saying it was great, but it was better. He got him a right tackle in the draft.
They went and signed Nate Davis, who couldn't block you.
Kevin Jenkins was better.
He was better, but he was also in
tackle was better.
Jones
the right guard was still better than what they had before. I'm not saying it was perfect, but this narrative out there that he didn't have a chance last year to show what he could do is just flat out wrong. They gave him more help around him, and he didn't run with it. His favorite wide receiver got worse, and the Atlanta Falcons said, "We're going to give that guy $39 million."
Look at the game plan they had in Minnesota, that night game. They wouldn't let him throw the ball whatsoever. It's just like kind of the trust that they had in Justin Fields at that. I know he's coming back from injury, but it was horizontal the entire freaking game. They win it though, but I think that just also shows like what the coaching staff kind of thought about in Fields. And yes, they won the game, but again, I think there were just limitations in his game. But that
followed the Detroit game,
exactly,
where he played fantastic coming off the injury. And that's the whole point, was the inconsistency. I don't think anybody's going to argue with you, Carm, that Poles hasn't been perfect building the roster, especially from a wide receiver standpoint, because you didn't even mention the fact that he traded for Chase Claypool.
There's another
Chase got traded, 3 weeks into the season. Nobody's denying that otherwise. He also brought in DJ Moore, though. And they had a great rapport.
In the greatest trade in the history of Chicago sports.
Yes. I'm not there's a lot of element of luck in that trade that they ended up getting the number 1 pick. But it was a very good trade, although the other side of that greatest trade in Chicago sports is if I told you right now, and if I told you right now you could have CJ or you could have Caleb, who are you taking? You'd probably take Caleb, but that'd be a huge-ass risk if you say that. Dude just walked in and threw for 4,000 yards on the Texans last year, who were absolutely horrible. So did he get that right? I don't know. We're going to find out. That is absolutely on the table that they did not get that right.
And it's on the table whether or not he got keeping Matt Eberflus right, because to your point about the fact that they kept Pace and Nagy a year too long, which set up Justin Fields for no success. Matt Eberflus, I do think that this next rookie quarterback has a chance to be set up for proper success in this organization. Again, we'll get to what RG3 said. But at the same time, to keep Matt Eberflus was a roll of the dice, pushing your chips in on Matt Eberflus, and now he has to work out, because in some scenario that it goes really bad this year, you might run into the same problem. It might look a little differently because the roster is more competent, but at the same time, the risk of doubling down on Matt Eberflus, now you have to hope it pays off for the next rookie quarterback.
But I want to back up just a little bit here, because the CJ Stroud thing is interesting, because, again, I think that's doing – it gets back to what we were just talking about. They weren't ready to move on from Justin Fields because they wanted to – they knew in 2022 they did not give Justin Fields anything that he could work with.
Right.
So they said, instead of moving on now, we're going to give you this chance. And you can quibble with me on whether or not he got better or stayed the same or got slightly worse. He didn't do enough to get a contract extension. So I don't even know what we're arguing about.
We're not.
This is why they're moving on. And I just think it's wrong to suggest. Yes, Justin Fields was screwed in year 1 and year 2 of his career, and that sucks without a doubt. But to suggest that he never had a chance in year 3 to show what he could do is just flat out wrong. And this is why separating that matters, because we bring this forward to this RG3 tweet and crazy video that came out this morning. And if you missed it, just, when the show's over, look it up if you want. It's on his Twitter account.
He was tweeting at us.
He put out a video this morning basically saying that Caleb Williams should pull an Eli Manning and refuse to go to the Chicago Bears. And what he cites is just the Bears' history in some sense, which, if we're all being honest here, that part of it's fair because that's been the history of Bears quarterbacks in Chicago. Where he totally misses the mark, and this is why separating this matters so much, is because this is different now. It just is. It's no Bears quarterback as a rookie has ever entered a situation better than what Caleb Williams will be entering here in Chicago. I would argue, and I haven't done the research on this, maybe I will, but I would argue if you look back at the history of every number one pick in the history of the NFL, there's maybe only a couple better situations than what this actually is.
Maybe Indy,
very few.
Andrew Luck, they had a decent team, but I still, looking at this Bears team, they got weapons.
So you're trying to make an argument that Caleb Williams should avoid coming to Chicago because it's the Bears, when in reality, he's entering a situation with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett,
Darnell Wright,
a top 5 defense, potentially. That's
Whoever
how
they take at 9.
Finished. Plus another draft. People keep forgetting this. Another first-round pick.
Top 10.
8 picks later, unless they trade back, and if they do, they'll just have even more draft capital to give them. Anyone trying look, it's just a bad RG3 misses the mark completely in this video.
Well,
and it's just wrong. And then this other thing real quick that I actually did just go on record on Twitter and retweet on him. This idea that if they don't win 10 games, Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are fired. I would say there's maybe a small chance if things really go awry that maybe the head coach isn't here after a year.
There's more than a small chance that they go really awry for him.
Well, if they really go awry, but that goes beyond the wins and losses.
There's a lot of context there.
There would have to be a lot of added context to a situation where that would actually happen. But given everything Ryan Poles has pulled off, anyone out there trying to claim that Ryan Poles is going to get fired if they don't win 10 games is just not paying attention at all.
It's not going to happen. To me, I think the healthiest approach would be to let this entire structure that they have now get at least 2 years. Is there some scenario that Matt Eberflus could get fired at the end of this year?
Potentially.
I'm not going to leave anything off the table, but I think the healthiest approach, now that you've reset the clock with the quarterback and everything's trending up, is to give this whole operation a minimum of 2 years. And at 2 years, if things aren't going right, then, to wipe the deck with anybody after this upcoming season, I think would be a mistake. But to your point, Hoge, a number one pick walking into a 7-win team that easily could have won 8 or 9 games, and a defense that had 22 interceptions, mainly off the back of Montez Sweat, who came in the second half of the season. And then you talk about all the weapons that Hoge just mentioned on offense that have been brought in here, and Keenan Allen and DJ Moore as your wide receivers. Are you kidding me? And you've got Cole Kmet as your tight end, DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert as your running backs, and you got Darnell Wright, and who knows what they're going to do at 9. Yeah. This is a really good situation for Caleb Williams or whoever the rookie quarterback is to walk into.
Well, I also like the idea, too, yes, we want to see what Caleb Williams can do as a passer, but this team is built to run the football, too. They were number 2 in the league in rushing, and Justin Fields did not go off like he did in 2022. So if you want to slowly approach this thing, if you're Shane Waldron, and allow your running game to kind of lead you still, you could do that. But now you also do have that passing threat as well. So, yes, we have all these expectations for Caleb Williams, but it doesn't have to be put on the Superman cape right when he enters the league. Run the football. You have this defense. and you also have pass catchers as well.
Well, and that's why they brought Chris Morgan in, right? I mean,
kept him, yeah.
they kept Chris Morgan in-house. Now he's the run game coordinator as well. They have a bread and butter with the run game. And I'll hear a lot of people say, well, that was because Justin Fields helped the running backs because they had to account for him. You're going to have to account for Caleb Williams too. Nobody's going to be a runner like Justin Fields was, but Caleb Williams is by definition a dual threat quarterback. No doubt. He's going to press you with his legs, and a defense is going to have to account for that as well. And oh, by the way, all due respect, but Justin Fields, like, yes, you have to account for him as a runner, but imagine a quarterback that's threatening you downfield, and you have to constantly take into account how he's going to stretch you as a defense. Now your run game can be even more explosive with the threat of a real deal Holyfield quarterback.
So, just to wrap up the RG3 thing, Brandon Marshall was a Chicago Bear for 3 years. The Bears' leading receiver in history, as we've talked about a lot lately, is Johnny Morris at over 5,000 yards. Brandon Marshall has been with 5 NFL teams. 2 of his top 3 seasons catching the football, 2 of his top 4, were with the Chicago Bears. His best season was with the Bears. Why? Because when he got here, not a great place for receivers, because they had a guy who could throw the football in Jay Cutler at the time. They also had Alshon Jeffrey to take some pressure off him.
Martellus Bennett and Matt Forte.
So it's the same thing with the quarterback. He's coming into a situation where, assuming everyone stays healthy, he should be able to be successful, which is why I brought up last week that he has a chance, outside chance, but he's got a chance to throw for the most yards in the history of the NFL as a rookie. I doubt it, because to what you're talking about, Nick, is I think they will run the ball a lot and they will try to ease him in, but he's got a shot at it with who's around. I know that's a little tall for you right now.
You're backtracking on the record?
No, I'm not backtracking nothing.
It's out there.
There's no backtrack.
No, you're okay. It sounded like you were.
No, there's no
you were backing down.
They might run it a little bit.
Well, they're gonna run the ball. I don't know if he's gonna get there.
I just said I don't know what percentage I put on it before. I think there's a 17.3% chance. He's also got
Backtrack.
You were like 99.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Just
Andrew Luck
69%.
Check the tape. Check the tape. And by the way,
69.
I mean, I might have to backtrack too,
Carman
because I'm not.
backtracking.
The one thing I'm not going to backtrack.
I'm the singer on the show. Stop talking.
Bears and cigars, which is a great combo. I agree. Bears and cigars. He had a comment. It's not that last one. It's a little bit higher. Which if you don't find it, it's fine. But he was basically saying, don't lower expectations. You guys have been saying Caleb Williams will be as good as here it is. No excuses. Caleb is supposedly better than Justin day one. I expect playoffs this year and him to be better day one. This is what everyone's been saying, so don't backtrack now.
He better throw for 4,000 yards. They better win games. No. He better be better than Justin Fields. We get it.
No pressure.
Yes, you make a decision like this, it better work out.
No, but I don't want to backtrack. I am on record as saying that I think Caleb's floor is what Justin already was.
Listen,
but
when I get in there,
am I scared about this? No. Because what's Justin's highest amount of yards he's thrown in the season again?
2650.
Because that I do feel confident in Caleb Williams being able to do.
No.
And I do think, especially with the weapons. So I'm with you, man. I think it's a little unfair to put on a rookie quarterback like they better make a run at the Super Bowl. But is it fair to say Caleb Williams should, put up pretty decent numbers as a rookie?
Absolutely.
Be in contention for at least, I would say at a minimum, be in contention for Rookie of the Year. It would be disappointing if he's not at least in that conversation. I don't want to say he definitely has to win it because you don't know who might blow up and what type of season might happen, elsewhere. But yeah, if we're not having Rookie of the Year conversations with all the help and support he has around him, then yeah, that would be disappointing.
He better do this, and that cuts both ways. Carm said it last week. If they had if Ryan Poles had decided to keep Justin Fields, that would have been one of the boldest decisions in Chicago sports history. And when you talk about, Caleb better do this or that because you've made this decision. Yeah. If they had kept Justin, for this season and drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., do you know what he better do would have been? It would have been, he better win the Super Bowl. He better be a franchise quarterback that you're paying, to a 10-year deal, because that's what the chips would have been on the table if you had decided to move on from this rookie quarterback class and keep Justin. So we all understand when you make decisions, there's things on the line, and they have to get it done and execute 100%.
We all silly like the mayor.